people are scared of change and responsibility. Through an adjustment, we are guiding an individual or an animal towards a different direction. And so that gives the responsibility to that individual or animal. Whereas medication, the responsibility is the person prescribing it. The consumer takes it and expects to get better. They don't have to change their lifestyle. They don't have to change their exercise routine, their relationships. They're going to take this pill and all their responsibilities off the table.
Stay tuned, stay curious. Enculturation Podcast.
Dr. Cassie Stansberry?
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on and bring us and our listeners into the world of chiropractic and also animal chiropractic as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start with why choose to be a chiropractor, and what was your origin story? Like, how did you get to where you are?
Sure. I was just watching a documentary about National Women's Soccer League, NWSL, and I was just reflecting on how far women have gotten in the work profession. And my godmother, she's a chiropractor, and she's this Puerto Rican fiery woman, and she's been in my life before I was even born. My mom was adjusted by her, and then my mom got pregnant. I was in the womb, and my mom was getting adjusted by my godmother, Dr. Zaida Rivane. And she is a huge role model for me. She has been practicing for over 40 years as a chiropractor and has developed her own technique to help chronically ill people. And I had her in my life until I was 8. Her and her husband moved away to South Africa. And then when I was 18 years old, my first time out of this country, I went to visit her in South Africa. The longest flight from California to any country in the world is South Africa. And
was that over 24 hours? Like what was it kind of?
I can't even remember now. It's definite. It's longer than 22 hours.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And when I went there, I witnessed chiropractic again. She had adjusted me until I was 8. And then when she moved away, I went to go see a different chiropractor, and it wasn't the same. And so when I went to visit her, I witnessed people who were very sick get better in the span of 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
And when I mean sick, it's like looking at somebody as if they're on their deathbed, but they're still standing. So their faces are white, the light in their eyes are just gone, and their passion for living is gone. It's disappeared. And then I would see these people like 3 days later, and their life force, that's a term she would use. It's called life force. Their life force went from 0 to 50%. And witnessing that was just the seed for me to be like, okay, people are sick and they can get better on their own if guided in the correct way. So then I came back to the States and went to college. I played soccer in college and then decided to study kinesiology, the study of body movement. And my ultimate goal was to play soccer professionally. And then it didn't happen. And I graduated from college within that time span of 18 to, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 23. So within that time span of 5 years, I had been to South Africa 2 more times. And just being like soaked in what wellness looks like, she gently guided me to becoming a chiropractor. I told her I wanted to do massage school. She's like, oh, just go check out chiropractic schools. And so when I came back to the States after my 3rd time there, I applied to a massage therapy school, NHI, National Holistic Institute, and I got accepted. All that was easy. But then the Life West Chiropractic College School called me out of nowhere. I guess when I was in my undergrad at San Francisco State, I had signed up to just get like a newsletter information at Life West for them to just send me information. And they randomly called me, right? Divine timing. They called me and were like, hey, you were interested in going to chiropractic school. Would you like to check it out? And I was like, oh, okay, let's check it out. So then 2 weeks later, I'm going to chiropractic school. I skipped they're supposed to usually do an interview, a whole process, go see the school, all that. I didn't do any of that. I just submitted that, hey, this is my interest. And then the next thing I know, 3 years later, I'm graduating from chiropractic school.
Wow, amazing. Also very interesting that you wanted to become what is essentially a professional soccer player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, considering that it's such a physically demanding sport, would you say that if someone were to go see a chiropractor while pursuing these sports, it would have a big performance impact or performance improvement on their game?
100%. I reflect a lot as a chiropractor now, working with athletes and becoming an athlete again myself.
Yeah.
Through my collegiate year, I was injured the whole time. And I mean, I would see a chiropractor like once every now and then, but it would be like when I was seriously injured. It was never for prevention.
Yeah.
And reflecting, I'm in the best shape physically, mentally, emotionally than I've been in the past 10 years. And so another huge passion of mine is to introduce slowly chiropractic specifically to women's soccer, because there's a large population where women tear their ACLs.
Yeah.
And the question I ask myself is, why don't men tear their ACLs? Why are women more prone?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Right? So going into that world, yes, I see very much how chiropractic could be beneficial for specifically soccer athletes.
Yeah. Were there any particular reasons why women do tear their ACL?
I mean, biomechanically, the theory is that we have wider hips, so then our knees are more prone to be more, have more stress on them.
I see.
With all of the movements in soccer. Also, they're correlating it, as in science research is correlating it with our hormones and how we have our monthly cycle.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm not well versed enough to know exactly why.
Yeah.
This is just like a peak interest of like, oh, okay, women are more likely to tear their ACLs. Why? Right. And so, I'm wanting to get into that more.
So as you are a soccer player, past and present tense, right? What did you personally notice in your performance? Was it you could run or use or mobilize your legs in a way that's more like faster reflex or more activated, or have like greater force in your steps? Like, what does that like feel or look like?
That actually brings me into a huge aspect of the other reason why I became a chiropractor. My godmother practices the hands-on portion, which is what traditionally known as the manipulative adjustment.
Okay.
And she also practices something called Neuro Emotional Technique.
Yeah.
And that focuses on the emotions that one stores in their body, that was not able to be released in that specific moment. And what I've witnessed throughout just watching people on TV through their careers, and they're having mental breakdowns. They're not allowed to cry. It's like embarrassing to cry. As I went through my collegiate career, I witnessed my teammates all have mental breakdowns. And honestly, I think that is like 90% of the benefit of getting chiropractic care. The mechanics, yes. The emotional stability, 100%. Because when it comes down to it, somebody who's professional versus an amateur is somebody who is mentally and emotionally strong. And if they are unable to handle those feelings, the body breaks down physically. And I can speak to that because that's what happened to me in college. So yes, biomechanically, it improves gait, it improves running, strength, all of that, because if the structure's aligned, the muscles are producing at full strength, right? The brain's sending the signals correctly, the body's sending the signals back to the brain. And there's the other component of how strong is this?
Yeah, that's a really good visual analogy. What's coming up to mind is the idea of an iceberg. So it seems like the body is the tip of the iceberg, that what everyone sees as either the wholeness of what's happening there, but you're saying there's like a deeper component that's almost majority hidden underneath the water, right? In this case, like we see the biomechanical impacts and think like that's the main reason or the only reason to go after something, while it is a reason, but it's connected to this whole invisible section that's underneath the water, right?
Yeah, it's super fascinating.
Yeah. So how might someone have a sense for, okay, my body is storing this emotion, or my body is storing this particular emotion, for example? Is it say, like, is there a certain kind of correlation between tightness of the shoulders or tightness of the back and what that might indicate as far as like the emotional impact it might have?
Sure, that's a great question. The founder of the Neuro Emotional Technique, Dr. Scott Walker, when I go to their seminars, they use this simple saying. So when somebody walks into the office and they say, "Man, it feels like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders,"
Yeah.
or it's like my sister's a pain in the neck, right?
Yeah.
So you're hearing these people have physical ailments,
Yeah.
connected to an emotional stress.
Mm.
And so exactly that. I was thinking of how like one could simply relate to it. It's when we watch children and babies, they're crying. That's an emotion, right? The emotion is the physical sensation of it is the crying. And then the mother ultimately knows that baby's scared, that baby is tired, or something's happening, right? So, yeah.
Okay, that's informative. Thank you for that. So I see here that you also work with animals. I have so many questions and curiosities about that world. Do you know like the origin or history of the field, and how did you personally get into from like emotional wellness and also physical wellness of the body as it relates to chiropractic, right? But what's the jump off from that to animals? I mean, to me, it kind of makes sense, but I never would have made that connection yet.
Yeah. The Western founder of chiropractic, D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer, his son, were ultimately the ones that founded animal chiropractic. It wasn't mainstreamly practiced until a woman, I think her name's Dr. Sharon. She was a vet, and she noticed that animals weren't getting better. And then she went to chiropractic school and then applied what she learned to animals. And through that, she saw animals getting better. And it's fascinating. I briefly looked this up. I didn't actually learn this in the animal chiropractic school. She revoked her vet license to just become an animal chiropractor. And then in the state she was practicing in, I think Illinois, they revoked her chiropractic license because of the results she was getting from animals.
Interesting.
By adjusting them. And so it's something very familiar in the world of chiropractic. I don't remember history facts all that well. I'd have to read it. The history of chiropractic, however, is we were seen as, what's the word? Weird. We were weird. And because of that, people shunned us. And even some chiropractors would get imprisoned because of the quote unquote magic they were doing to help heal people.
So let me get this straight. If I understand you right, this lady, she self-revoked her vet license of her own choosing. And then she was applying her chiro knowledge and practice to animals, was getting, I would assume, good results.
Yep. And then the veterinarians were like, concerned why she was getting results.
Yeah.
And so then, because there was like this unknownness, they decided to just take away her license.
Yeah, I guess I'm like confused on why that happened. Like I don't doubt that it happened, but it's like, well, if you're getting good results, that should promote more understanding into why you're getting good results, right? Because I think if she was getting bad results, that would maybe prompt that response. But if you're getting good results, I'm kind of dumbfounded on how that was the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to hear, because it's like completely normal for us as chiropractors for that to be normal. If there's no science to back it up, it isn't credible. And then so if it's actually producing results in the world of chiropractic, people are skeptical about it, because then they can't prescribe drugs or medication to maintain this consumerism.
The world of animal health is definitely a big industry nowadays. It's not to get off topic, but I can see how certain industries might want to have control of the whole ecosystem of that world, right? Whether it's down, because I think big pharma is moving into the pet food, for example. So pet food is now, if you actually read the ingredients, it's like all this filler, it's all this grain, corn. For why is there corn in cat food, first of all, right? Yeah, and so I'm a big feline person, but also looking into the ingredients of pet food. It's like, no wonder these cats are getting sick, because they're eating a bunch of crap that's not meant for them, right? And then it gets sent to the vet. The vet says, "Oh yeah, eat more dry food," which majority of their moisture level is supposed to be from wet food, because they're made to they're obligate carnivores, right? And so my I guess my conspiracy hat is getting activated, hearing that someone got good results, and then the vet world was like, "Let's take her license away." Really, really.
It's, if I can like see if I can tie that together. The philosopher who discovered that the planets revolve around the sun, he was considered blasphemy, right? Until eventually people were like, oh, this guy's correct. So it's very similar to that. When something new and exciting happens in the field of science, art, philosophy, people are very skeptical, and then they just dismiss it. It doesn't exist. It's easier to look this way than actually see that, oh, this might actually work.
Yeah, very interesting. Is there any point of difference from applying chiro to humans as compared to animals? Whether it's the actual administration of it, or like, is there a mindset difference? Because, animals are not just telling you what's wrong with them or how they're feeling, at least not in a verbal manner.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the world of chiropractic, we use this term called a subluxation. I like to break down the Latin in that. Sub meaning less than, lux meaning light. And so a subluxation is when there is less light in the physical system. Again, Dr. Scott Walker, the founder of NET, he discovered that there are 4, he calls it the home run formula. And this applies to humans and animals. There's 4 bases that make up wellness. And all of these need to be homeostasis, or in balance, in order for one to achieve health. There is the structural component, so the physical body. There's the emotional component. There is the toxins, so the environmental toxins. And then there is the chemistry, so the things we consume, like eating. And so all 4 of those aspects make up wellness. That is for humans, that is for animals. And so when addressing a human, when we put our hands on somebody, that is what we are feeling. Same thing with an animal. The only difference with an animal is they don't have the thinking brain, the neocortex. And so when we're working with an animal, it's actually a lot, not safer, but it's more simple, because they don't have to think themselves to quote unquote healing. It's either they heal or they don't. With humans, we get in our way because of our thinking brain. We need to somehow rationalize that this is going to work. And our own brain stops us from healing. So with animals, it's great because it's like you as the doctor will see instant results if you are intentional with what the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, amazing. So with that said, is there like what's the parameters of this field? Is there like a certain minimum animal size, maximum animal size? Is there like different practices for different species? Yeah.
Sure. So chiropractic school is a graduate program. You do that in 3 to 4 years. And then animal chiropractic is an extracurricular. So you have to do that outside of chiropractic school. You learn in the school, you learn on horses and dogs.
Okay.
They have the same anatomy, just different size. And then that gets applied to cats, and then another group of animals that get put together is the farm animals. So there's farm animal chiropractic, and then also you can work on reptiles, anything with structure.
I see. Have you personally worked on horses?
Yes. So we had to learn on horses. I did have intentions of working on horses. The only problem for me is just driving to the stables.
Yeah.
So I have worked on horses. And actually, when I was in South Africa, I just remembered my godmother, she owns like 20 Arabian horses. And she taught me how to adjust horses in her style. And she uses a technique also called applied kinesiology. And that involves muscle testing. And muscle testing is not the typical physical therapy muscle testing, where you're actually testing for the strength of the muscle. Muscle test, AK, applied kinesiology, is allowing the reflex of the body to react to a stimulus. So, for example, the best example is when you go to the physician's office and they do the knee reflex.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a reflex. It's out of my control.
Yeah.
They hit a point and it works. So that's what applied kinesiology is. And so through applied kinesiology, I was able to adjust a horse for my first time.
Was that scary? Imagine I'm like, I have so many like imagery of what could happen when applying to such a big animal.
Yeah, and that brings me off on a tangent. There's a whole world of horse therapy for people. Horse therapy is so healing because horses are so sensitive to humans' energy. It's called a subtle energy field. And if a human is shy, unconfident, droops down like this, the horse can feel that. And the horse will step all over you. And then that's when you are in danger. Horse therapy allows people to step into their physical bodies and honestly be present. You have to be present with a horse, otherwise one would get hurt. And so while adjusting a horse, focusing on your own breath, the horse, where they are at all times in space, and as long as the individual who's working on them is calm, the horse is calm. And so horse chiropractic is honestly really beautiful because it allows the practitioner to be present. And working on horses has allowed me to be an even better human chiropractor.
Wow, amazing. So walk me through that first moment where you were administering to the horse, right? What did that feel like? Was that a new level of being present for you? And what did you particularly do in that session? Was it working on the neck or, otherwise?
Yeah, the horse had a visible gait. They call it gait. So walking motion was not correct.
Yeah.
So you could physically see when I would walk, it would be limping.
Okay.
And then my godmother told me what to do. She was like, do this, 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 and this. And I just did that. And so I had somebody helping me. So I was muscle testing him. And then I would put my hand on the horse and I would muscle test and see if there would be, we call it a change in response in the muscle test. And then eventually I got down to the hind leg, so the back leg on the left. And then through muscle testing, I'm able to see which direction does this bone need to move? Okay. And so it's not me guessing, it's the animal that I'm touching is providing me that information. And then the stimulus of the muscle testing, I know it sounds crazy, gives me the information. And I don't know the anatomy of a horse at that time because that was before I went to chiropractic school even. And I simply just had the intention that the bone needed to move this way. I stepped away. The horse did what we call licking and chewing. When an animal releases emotion or any sort of stress, they lick and chew. Cats do that, dogs do that. They'll do a full shake. It's an emotional release. It's a stress release. It's a nervous system release. And the horse walked like nothing had happened. And I didn't believe it. I was like, did I just do that? Or did the horse just do that? And actually, that was a very pivotal moment for me and into why doing animal chiropractic as well. Because even though I didn't know the neurology or the basics of a horse, with my pure intention, I was able to help something.
Yeah, that must have been a mind-blowing experience where you're like, what just happened? Magic.
Yeah, adjusting animals is something else because, again, they don't talk to you. The only thing to be aware of is that when they're in pain, they're gonna react. So they can kick, dogs will bite, cats will scratch, right? And so as long as I'm calm and aware, I have to be so present, then everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, so considering your size and a horse size, which is obviously huge, even for any big person, right? How do you actually make an adjustment? Like, is there like a lot of force or impact that's required, or is there like what can actually be done? Do you require a second person to make the adjustment too?
So it's great. Usually, the smallest women become horse chiropractors.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Wow.
So that tells you that size doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Back then when I didn't know how to do the things, it was just pure energy movement and my intention.
Yeah.
It still includes that. And now I have awareness of the anatomy where joints move in space. And we use this thing called a bale. It's just a styrofoam block.
Yeah.
And you stand on it. And so that way you're higher than the horse. And it also is like a little shield to protect you from the horse.
Oh, I see. So there's like some kind of divide between you two.
Correct.
And then you're, okay, I see.
I'm able to like stand on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of benefits, but also inherent danger to both the animal and also the chiropractor, right? Can you speak on some of the things that, what some of the dangers might be and how do you prevent that situation from happening?
The danger is if I'm not present, then I'm going to get hurt, or the animal's going to get hurt, or
Yeah.
the person helping me handle the animal is going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can be very safe.
Okay. Well, considering that the intensity and necessity of being present is so high, right? That it needs to be a requirement every time. How do you stay present with every session? Because I'm sure everyone has on days and off days. You might have like maybe someone stole your car last night and you're like stressing out about that situation, or I don't know. During COVID, the whole world shut down, right? There's so many stresses every day.
Yeah. I mean, I got in a car accident right before I had to go into work.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So, I was like, wow, I just got in a car accident. And then I processed it.
Yeah.
So then that brings me back to the emotional components. I processed that I just got in this accident. And then I showed up to work and I was like, okay, I got in this accident. I can stay in that space that this person hit me. Now I have to spend all this money. I have to fix my car. I have to find all this time. The moment I step into the office, the moment I'm driving to work, the moment I have any intention of going to touch a human or an animal, that is the moment I become present. It doesn't happen right before I touch them. It happens the night before, the day of, right? It's been a whole practice ever since I stepped foot
So when might somebody who has an animal, whether it's a horse, cat, dog, or otherwise, know to reach out to a chiropractor for this care?
Yeah, usually they don't.
Yeah.
Usually my experience of once I've gotten my license and actually like have been practicing on animals,
Yeah.
it's when it's sad. It's when their dog or their cat is about to die and they've tried everything else and there's nothing that's going to work. So actually a lot of my dog patients, so I primarily see dogs and cats. A lot of my dog patients, I see them 1-2 times and then they're either they have a chronic illness that I find, or they just weren't going to make it because of the diagnosis they were given. So with that, I want to be more preventative and just educate people that, like you were saying, animals, how do I say this? There's so much going on in the world of humans that animals are quote unquote forgotten. And the way that we treat them is we forget that they also have a soul. And if we can see animals in that world, especially pets, then I feel like we can start to recognize that we belong in an ecosystem together. And then innately, so just remembering that if we can take care of our animals, I think it would progress us to recognizing and realizing that we can take care of each other again.
Yeah, well said. What about like, okay, so obviously providing animal care at the last stage of their journey in such a reactive manner is not the most beneficial. So what about going back to preventative care? What are some like slight, subtle, early indicators that, okay, it's time to bring my animal to a chiropractor? Like, yeah.
So I'll give you the most extreme example. I had somebody call the office and say his dog can't walk.
Yeah.
Right. And then he brings the dog in, or they bring the dog in, and this dog neurologically, like if you were to try to hold it to stay up, it would just fall over.
It must have been painful to see.
It was, and at that point, it's too far gone.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I did the best I could. And then the next day he told me that they had to put him down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's the most extreme. The school that I went to for animal chiropractic, the teacher, he said, the birthing process is the most traumatic time for any mammal. It is going through this canal that's the size of a straw, and imagine that thing coming out of the canal is the size of a watermelon.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of variables could happen. So he would say that anything that has been given, that has been birthed, needs an adjustment.
Yeah.
So everything.
Yeah.
And to the extreme of how often, all this, that, and that's where the exams come in, and we can identify like, okay, you need this all the time, you need this a few times.
Wow. Very, very interesting. So, you know, I've talked to other people about like the modern day human lifestyle that that affects our wellness, right? So it could be having forward head posture from using the computer all the time to driving a car for days, hours on end, or even being in an airplane, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about like modern domesticated lifestyles of animals? Is there something that causes or promotes their body being out of alignment, such as, for example, I don't know how impactful this is, but for my cats, for example, I feed them off bowls elevated off the ground, you know, like small things like that. Does that have any effect, or what are some things to look for in like their indoor situation, or even what environments they're in?
Sure, that's a great question. And actually, if we think back to before these animals were domesticated, how were they living?
Yeah.
So to answer that question directly, we would want their bowls to be on the ground.
On the ground, okay.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because when it's elevated, it stops their their immunity, their lymphatic system from working properly because of the design of their body. They are quadrupeds, so they walk like this. We're bipedal, we walk upright. And so when their bowels are elevated, it changes the whole chemistry of their digestive system, immune system, lymphatic system. Same, especially with horses, farm animals. And the design for that is purely for human. It's not to, put anybody on blast. It's just purely, especially with horses, it's purely designed so that people don't have to bend over all the time.
Okay, that's really good to know, and it makes sense in the way that you explained it. Are there any other misconceptions about modern day animal support systems or life that would be counterintuitive to their health?
There is 4 main things that I go over, especially with dogs. Collars. When dogs wear collars and people yank, dogs are repeatedly getting whiplashed.
Yeah.
Okay. Nails. The nails on dogs, if they are long, for example, if my nails are long and I'm unable to slide a credit card underneath my nails, imagine this is a dog's paw, it is too long for the dog, and it sends misinformation to their brain, and then they end up walking like they're wearing high heels.
Wow.
Their nails can be long if they are purely out in the grass or out in the dirt because they actually need traction.
Okay.
With the modern technology of concrete and wood floors, they just slide all over the place, right? They can't actually grab onto anything. And then food, right? This consumption of food. The dry food is like the McDonald's for cats and dogs. So this dry food was made to be easy for the humans to just give them kibble. Don't have to worry about touching raw meat. Don't have to worry about cleanliness. All of that. It's just processed food. Here you go. And it has shelf life. It can.
Yeah, I personally make raw food, specifically raw chicken for my cat, right? Which is highly supported by a certain community, and I'm more of that camp.
Yeah.
But the times I can count the amount of times that I've opened up that I feed my cats raw food to my pet, and they're immediately saying you should feed dry food. I'm like, because of salmonella and all this other stuff. I'm like, well, I know how to handle with food. It's not like I've never handled food before.
Yeah, exactly. They're actually concerned about the human. They're concerned about the human.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Is there a lot of pushback from other vets? Not the vets, I'm sorry, other chiropractors regarding the administration of chiropractic practices to animals?
No, they understand. And chiropractors just like, if they don't know how to do it, they'll refer to somebody who does.
Okay. Is there any other groups or, I guess, scenarios that would have pushback to this practice?
Vets themselves. And it's interesting because now veterinarians can become animal chiropractors.
What are some talking points or arguments against this practice from vets?
It's the same thing with humans. It's something that could actually help them. And if it can help them, then it seems illegitimate. That's a concept I'm not sure how to describe. Why something that could potentially help an individual or an animal, why that could work and why people are scared of it. And my theory is that people are scared of change and responsibility. Through an adjustment, we are guiding an individual or an animal towards a different direction. And so that gives the responsibility to that individual or animal. Whereas medication, the responsibility is the person prescribing it. The consumer takes it and expects to get better. They don't have to change their lifestyle. They don't have to change their exercise routine, their relationships. They're going to take this pill and all their responsibilities off the table. So same thing. Animals don't think about that, but if we just give them medication, the responsibility of the owner, you know, it falls on the practitioner.
That actually makes a lot of sense. So I guess in the theme of responsibility, what should pet or animal owners, if you were to suggest one change they could make in care for their animals, what would it be? I guess to be specific, to promote joint health in the animals, what would that be like?
Sure. I hear my mom coming into my mind. My mom is a huge reason why I love animals. Her whole side, they love animals. And I hear her saying, like, people need to do research before they get an animal. If they're going to have a pet, it is now their responsibility to take care of that pet. And specifically for, you know, joint care and all of that, it's just being aware of the surface under them. Like for cats, for example, they're okay because when they have this ability that they can retract their claws, right? And so they're not constantly walking on their claws. With dogs, they don't have control over that. Certain dog breeds need exercise. Like that's something it's a misnomer that we can just keep a dog inside the house the whole time. And then they get anxiety. They get like vicious. And it's because this dog is meant to be running around the field for hours, not be cooped up like a human doing nothing.
Yeah, and then is there a need for them to run on grass or soil versus concrete? Could they even experience long-term harm by running on a concrete surface?
I don't know the extent of that. What I do know is it's better for them, just like humans, to run on something that's more padded, because that will provide more cushion for the joints overall. You know, we have adapted, dogs, cats, humans have adapted to concrete, and, you know, we seem to be doing okay. However, if we have the chance and ability to be out on the grass or the dirt, the hillside, the beach, it would long term, yes, it would be better, is my opinion.
So you mentioned when you went to South Africa, you were following a different modality that was different from what you studied in school now, right? Yeah. So is that based on just tribal or local knowledge, or is that like a different field of study in itself?
So applied kinesiology is recognized in the world of chiropractic.
Okay.
It is recognized in the world of chiropractic. I just didn't know what it was back then.
Okay.
And so it felt very weird to me. I was like, oh, what is this? What am I doing? How am I doing this? And then there's a lot of science that backs up how that technique works. There's like over supposedly like 100 different types of chiropractic techniques. Even in the world of animal chiropractic, there's different techniques. And so how one chiropractor does something is different than how another chiropractor does something. And so that's what actually me and Dr. Marisa are wanting to mainstream in regards to human chiropractic, is make it result oriented, that what we are doing can be reproduced. And I believe the animal world of chiropractic is working towards that. Right now, it's just very TikTok famous.
Yeah.
You hear a pop, the dog responds, everybody's happy. In the real world, can it be like that? Maybe. There's so many more different elements that is overlooked in the social media world.
Yeah. Speaking of reproducible results, what type of studies, or are there studies being done from the results of like chiropractic on animals, and how, like, so for example, if someone saw a different animal chiropractor in the East Coast, would they have the same experience as seeing you, for example?
So then so what happens in the world of chiropractic, what just happens in the world of any, I think, institution?
Yeah.
Competitiveness.
Okay.
And people are going to be like, my technique is better than your technique.
Yeah.
And so that just brings me back to the basics. As long as the intention is pure and the animal has a chance, or the human has a chance of getting better, we will see results. If that person is purely intending to make money, maybe short term, they're seeing results. Long term, it's not It's not result oriented.
Yeah. So, say as a person coming to see an animal chiropractor for the first time, what's your personal list of like things to look for in someone that you can trust or someone that you should seek care from? What does that list look like to you?
So let's say you walk into the office and you want to bring your cat in,
Yeah.
right? I would educate you first. I would tell you this is what a cat's spine looks like.
Mhm.
And they are carrying majority of the weight on their head because they are quadruped. And then I would walk through with you neurologically what might be happening with your cat. So that way visually you can see what's going on. If that individual, usually people who bring in their animals love their animals. So there's really nothing I need to do to gain more rapport. They want to take care of their animal. And that's the kind of person I want in my office. And once they see the adjustment, they're like, wow. And then I tell them to come back in a week and tell me how their animal responds. And then they come back in a week and then they tell me this, and this. And then from that point, I can create a care plan of what would be best for that animal.
Okay. So, the theme of what you're saying ties into what you said earlier about having the relationship and responsibility and not just, okay, bring it in and then drop them off, have no participation in the whole time.
Exactly. And it's actually only been 3 years of me being a chiropractor legally. It feels like it's been 7. And just recently, that's a huge intention of mine is to allow the individual, whether it's the pet owner or the person receiving the care, to take responsibility. I am providing a service with the intention for you to go in this direction. Everything you do outside of the office is out of my hands. And so I'm going to do the best I can to educate you and give you tips, tricks, resources to have the best results. If one chooses not to do that, I can't change that individual's mindset around that.
Yeah, amazing. How can people best support you and or themselves or even their animals?
How can they best support me?
Yeah.
I like to read now. I didn't like to read growing up. And The Way of Water, I think that's what it's called, by Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter. In that book, I learned that when a cup of water is full, and let's say I'm asking for more tea from you, and you pour tea, it's going to overflow. So when my cup is full, I am not open to receiving new information. I want people whose cups are empty and they are open to receiving information and getting a chance to digest it. That is somebody who could support me and themselves through this process.
Amazing. Any shout outs you'd like to mention?
Any shout out?
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom, Sandra Stansberry. She's been the keystone of my life. She raised me as a single mother. She moved here from the Philippines. Didn't know this culture, was culture shocked, and created a pathway for me. I just recently met my father. I didn't know my father growing up. I met him now 5 years ago. Shout out to him for meeting my mom and giving birth to me, helping give birth to me. He was also an immigrant from El Salvador, and same thing with him. Shout out to all my friends who've been supportive of me, and shout out to Marisa.
Amazing. And final closing thoughts for our listeners out there. What would you like to close out with?
A big component for this work that I do is understanding that the human is more than what we see. Same thing with the animal. And there's this brilliance in the human design called vibrational resonance, emotional resonance. And it's the same concept that if I'm playing a string instrument and there is another string instrument in the room, that instrument is going to tune or it's going to vibrate in relationship to the noise coming off of that. And as humans and animals, we all are receptive of each other. And something I want people to start to feel and understand is their awareness. With COVID, with technology, we are becoming unaware of our physical bodies, let alone those subtle vibrations. And if we can come back to just noticing, oh, I'm hungry, or oh, I'm tired, or oh, I'm sad, or oh, I'm elated, I'm so excited. If we can come back to those simple realities, people will start to heal on their own. And then that will also be for their animals as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Looking forward to having you come back on the show. Really appreciate having you here.
Yeah, thank you. Those are great questions.